Yeah.
Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to Ala's World of Finance. In today's quick video, we're going to talk about Activision Blizzard, and their ticker symbol is ATVI, so we're going to talk about their stock. And I'm actually really excited for this video because the more that I researched them, the more that I started to really like them. I really like their numbers. I really like the market. I like everything that's going on. They have potential for a lot of growth. So it's really interesting. And so what we're going to do is we're going to look at their business, some of their products. We're going to look at the different areas that they're involved in. And we're going to look at the gaming industry as a whole. And we're also going to cover all the numbers. And then I'll just kind of give my overall opinion on whether I think it's a buy or a sell or a hold or whatever the case may be. So let's go ahead and get started. So when looking at their business, they're engaged in the development of interactive entertainment. So in other words, they make video games and they're basically a video game publisher. So when looking at the gaming industry, we know that they've been experiencing a lot of growth in the gaming industry. In fact, if we look at newzoo.com, it's like a gaming industry research firm. So they provide a lot of analytical data and stuff like that. If we look at gaming revenue, in 2017, it's estimated to be at $109 billion. Now, year over year, that's up 8%. Okay, so very good. And in 2020, it's estimated to be at $129 billion. So it's growing, continues to grow, and it's doing very well, and it's a huge market. So it's very good to be involved in the gaming industry for them. It's a very good market. Now, when looking at the products that Activision is involved in, they're involved in in-store retail games. So if you go to Best Buy or GameStop, you pick up like a hard copy of a video game. Now we know that that part of the market has been declining a little bit as it's transitioning more into digital sales, but Activision is heavily involved in digital games. In fact, it's where they make most of their revenue, and we're going to talk about that. So it's a good thing. They're involved in the good side of the market that is really increasing and growing. They're also involved in DLC, that's like downloadable content that is usually, it's a little controversial because sometimes you buy a game at full price and then later they add on downloadable content that you have to pay more money for. And some people think it should just be included from the beginning, including myself. But it's one of those things that all the games do it, so you kind of just have to put up with it. It's not a huge deal. Now, they're also involved in in-game purchases. So if you're playing a video game and you want to advance further or faster in the video game, you can purchase things to help you in the game with real money. They're also involved in mobile games, and that's a really good area to be involved in because we know that the mobile market has been growing for a long time and it continues to grow. And more people are playing video games on their cell phones, so it's a really good area to be involved in. So we're going to talk more about that. And then we're also going to talk about eSports because they're heavily involved in eSports, and there is a lot of potential for a lot of really good growth in the eSports market. So we're also going to talk about that. Excuse me. All right, so let's talk about, let's see, where should we start? Okay, let's start with mobile games. So they recently were able to dip their toes in the mobile game market because I think it was a little more than a year ago, they purchased King Digital, and they basically had the Candy Crush and Bubble Witch games, so that kind of helped them dip their toes in the mobile game market. But what I really like from Activision is that they're planning to release a lot of their heavy hitters, at least some version of their heavy hitters, into the mobile game market, which is huge. So when they start bringing over their heavy hitters, their main game titles, and we're going to talk about them, as soon as they bring them over into the mobile game market, they should sell very well, and it should really bring in a lot of money and should help them out a lot. So I'm really excited about that. Now in the esports market, this is a big one because they've been experiencing a lot of growth in esports, and esports is basically where you play video games competitively. It's basically like that. I don't really know how else to explain it, but the esports economy right now, I got these numbers also from Newzoo. The esports economy is estimated this year to be around $696 million. That represents a year-over-year growth of 41.3%, so massive growth year over year. And then in 2020, it's estimated to be at $1.5 billion. So that's essentially double what we're experiencing right now. So that's huge. So there's a lot of growth in the esports market. And Activision is one of the biggest players in the esports market. So that's really good for them. It's a really good market to be involved in. Now, when looking at their heavy hitters, their main gaming titles, all of these games that I'm about to list, they've all earned over $1 billion in revenue. Okay, so they're major titles. So they include StarCraft, World of Warcraft, you've probably heard of that one, Hearthstone, that's been a really popular one recently, and they're also involved in Destiny. We know that Destiny 2 is coming out soon, so that should do well for them. Overwatch, which has been very popular recently as well. Skylanders, which is a little more popular for kids, and then Call of Duty, which you've probably heard of. And Call of Duty is a good one because that one can sell to a lot of different customers where, you know, some gamers want to play Call of Duty just for the standard Call of Duty experience, and then some people want to play it just for the zombies experience, including myself. I really like playing the zombies mode and stuff like that. So Call of Duty is a very interesting one as well, and it usually does very well, sells very well. And there are some rumors of some of these coming over to the Nintendo Switch. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to go off on a rant about Nintendo Switch. I know I talk about it too much, but it's important to look at because the Switch is selling very well, so that could translate to a lot of sales for them, especially if they come out supporting the Switch, since the Switch doesn't really have much third-party support. So we know that these would sell very well. So some of the rumors, the heaviest rumors I've seen is Call of Duty coming over to the Switch, but Destiny and Overwatch, they talked about it, but they basically said that Destiny and Overwatch rely heavily on online gameplay, and the Switch is known for not being that great in online gaming. So I don't think that those will come over, but Call of Duty is a real possibility. There's a lot of heavy rumors on that one. Now, when looking at digital revenue, so we mentioned earlier that digital games is really where they need to be involved in because that's where it's really growing. So digital revenue for the quarter, Activision reported a record number for their March quarter. So any March quarter, this was a record number, $1.39 billion. So very large number. That represents a year-over-year increase of 50%. Okay, so that's huge. And it represents 80% of their total revenue. So 80% of their total revenue comes from digital sales and the digital gaming market. So that's really fantastic. It's actually a good thing, okay, because that's really where they need to be heavily involved in. And they also need to be, you know, involved in mobile games and esports. So I feel like they're doing all the right things. They're involved in all the right areas. Okay, so now let's talk about the numbers. So I got these from Nasdaq.com. These represent the last quarter that they reported, so basically the March quarter. And they reported cash and cash equivalency of $3.2 billion, so very, very good. Total assets in total was at $16.9 billion, very good, fantastic. Long-term debt was at $4.3 billion, and total liabilities is totaled at $7.4 billion. So you can basically see that they have around a little more than a 2-to-1 ratio from cash, you know, from assets to liabilities. And, you know, I would like it to be maybe like a 3-to-1 ratio, but I think 2-to-1 is still okay, especially if you really like the company, which I do. I really like the company, so I actually think that their balance sheet is pretty good. And when looking at total revenue for the quarter, they reported a record number for any March quarter, and it was at $1.7 billion total. And that represents a revenue year-over-year increase of 19%. Okay, so very good. And then gross profit, it was at $1.1 billion. Okay, so very good numbers from Activision. Now, when looking at their PE ratio in 2016, it was 29.77, a bit high. 2017, it's estimated for this year to be at 33.08. It is a bit high because the industry is closer to a number around their 2018 estimate, which is at 26.46, and that's really where the industry is at right now. So they're a bit high, but they do have a lot of potential for a lot of growth. So it kind of balances out in my opinion. Now, when looking at their EPS, in the last 4 quarters, they've beat expectations, according to Nasdaq.com. And they have I'm going to give you the surprise percentages for beating expectations. So in the June quarter of 2016, they had a surprise percentage of 8.11%. In September quarter, they had a 17.95%. In December quarter, almost 20%. And then in this last March quarter, 68%. Well, it's just like fantastic, guys. So like really good numbers. Now, when looking at MarketWatch, marketwatch.com, I got these numbers from there. When looking at their stock price, so their 52-week low was at $35.12. That was back in December. Their 52-week high was at $60.13. That was in May, so very recent. And as of today, I'm recording this on June 4th, they're at $59.65. So just kind of came down just a little bit from their 52-week high there. And if we look at their percentages for the last week, they were up 2.35%. For the month, for 1 month, they were up 10.81%. For 3 months, they were up 26.73%. Year to date, up 65%. And then in 1 year's time, up 57%. So really good numbers. They've been doing very well. Obviously, their stock has been doing very well. So I'll just kind of summarize everything. I wish I was invested in Activision a long time ago, to be honest. I really do. But I still see a lot of potential growth. I think that they're doing really good in the mobile market. I think that they're doing really good in the esports market and just overall in the digital market. So I really like Activision. I'm already invested in some gaming stocks. So I don't really want to keep getting into the gaming stocks, but I may be selling some of mine and then buying Activision. But if you're not involved in any gaming stocks, like if you don't have Nintendo stock and you don't have, Take-Two or EA, if you don't have any of those stocks, then you may want to consider Activision if you want to just kind of diversify your portfolio a little bit, pick up a gaming stock. Looks like it's a really good market. So I may be investing in them soon, but as of right now, I'm not in them yet, but I'm hoping to be. So I'm going to try to see if I can make some moves and hopefully get into it. So anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video, and please like the video, please subscribe, and thank you so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. I hope you all have a wonderful, beautiful day. Take care.